And it has been since we arrived, the circuit looking absolutely glorious. We'll come to the little bit of downside in a moment or two as we go through the grid, Johnny.
Yes, it's not been the happiest of mornings in terms of weather conditions. More on that in a second. But this circuit then split into three sectors. The first of those runs from the start line, which is just before Le Source. So everyone, come the race start later on today, will plunge into that hairpin bend to kick off the lap. The end of the first sector is just before the end of the Kemmel Straight, heading into Le Combe. Sector 2 starts there and continues round to the just beyond Piff Paff, effectively, and on towards Curve Paul Frere. And the final sector is from there through the almighty Blanchimont corner, then fast left-hander, and down towards the old bus stop. Still call that chicane the bus stop. It's very much not like a bus stop these days, but those of you with memories that stretch not that far back to the 90s will remember Formula 1 Grand Prix held here, where you had to turn left and right and then right and left to get back onto the circuit effectively. And it was ever since then been coined the bus stop chicane. The pits here separated across several different levels, actually, and LMP3 cars just being pushed back into the garage, interestingly there. We will have a GT session for you, first of all, 15 minutes in duration, and we'll talk about those cars in just a moment.
Well, the car will be being pushed back because they're not supposed to be on the apron before it's time for their qualifying session. We are going to have a perfectly formed four-car grid for GT. That's part of the bad news. We had two late dropouts from the order for a couple of different reasons. The Optimum Motorsport Audi, Joe Osborne and Flick Haig, has been withdrawn for some health issues for Flick Haig, and we hope all is well with Flick. She's been a firm favourite in the qualifying sessions, in particular in the Michelin Le Mans Cup this season with the Optimum car. And then just yesterday we got news that the Ram Racing Mercedes AMG has fallen victim to some last-minute commitments for Ramon Vos. And again, Ramon, wish you well and hope things are going as they should. But unfortunately, we lose the achingly pretty grey with orange highlights Mercedes AMG. So it will be four cars. There's a bit of a change aboard one of them. We'll get to that in just a moment. And regular viewers will recall it is the gentleman drivers that will take part in qualifying. So we won't be seeing the change of driver aboard the Lee Mole entered Mercedes AMG. That's the second car just coming out of pit lane now. That will be Dominic Baumann for the race, and he was very quick indeed yesterday. Third of the cars leaving pit lane now on his EB Motors Lamborghini Huracan. And then the fourth will be a returning car. We saw the car at the Road to Le Mans, at the Gulf Racing UK, Gulf liveried and achingly lovely Porsche 911 GT3R. Andrew Baker and the similarly named but in no way related Ben Barker, Ben Bingo Barker, WC driver for that team aboard the GTE version of the car. And he steps across to the almost identically liveried but very different GT3R. So under 14 minutes to go as the cars make their way round. Now in bright sunshine, the area of the circuit that was earlier causing difficulties, Johnny, and yellow flags protecting the free practice session between turns 4 and 5. You'd never believe it, would you, looking at it now?
No, but that's the beauty of the Ardennes Forest, I suppose, and the valley that we're in here. The early morning mist just hangs at that low level, and it did start to rise because the first area that came back into focus was La Source and then Eau Rouge to Raidillon corner, but because the Kemmel Straight continues to climb out of Raidillon, it was that section heading up, as you say, through turn 4, turn 5 at Le Combe and into 6 as well, which the cloud just hung around for much of what was planned to be a Formula Renault Eurocup race. Sadly, that was held under safety car conditions and had to be red flagged after only 3 laps, with half points awarded instead. And then the free practice session for the European Le Mans Series cars was delayed by just over 15 minutes and had 10 minutes taken off the time as well. But we are now into very clear conditions. The championship, by the way, for Michelin Le Mans Cup GT3 cars, headed by Emanuele Busnelli and Fabio Babini for EB Motors. They're on 75.5 points, and that gives them a lead, a decent lead actually, of just over 20 points back to the Lee Mole Mercedes AMG. with Lee Mole and Phil Keane, the regular drivers. Phil is busy though back in the UK, taking part in the finals for the British GT Championship. So as Graham describes, Dominic Baumann joining Lee Mole's squad. He's done a lot of Blancpain endurance racing this year with Ed Sandstrom and Fabian Schiller, also in a Mercedes, so well used to the machinery. And there is an opportunity this weekend for Lee Mole to catch up a little bit of ground. For instance, if Lee Mole managed to win this race with EB Motors in second position, the gap would really come down to 16 points, with still 25 or 26 on offer, the final round at Portimao in Portugal.
Yeah, indeed. So Phil Keane, as Johnny quite rightly says, across at Donington Park, looking to win the British GT Championship. But in doing so, he sees any real possibility of taking the title together with Lee Mole in the Michelin Le Mans Cup. But the boss is here with the able assistance of Dominic Baumann, and zero doubt that Dominic will be very rapid indeed come the race this evening. Also available, of course, live and free online. Just 11 minutes to go here, and we're going to start to see some quick lap times pretty soon now. First car around is going to be Lee Mole. The number 7 Mercedes AMG, very happy indeed with this new car this season.
Time's obviously going to tick away rather quickly here. I'm remembering back to the World Endurance Championship when they were here in May, and you get a slightly longer qualifying session in those
25 minutes.
Yes,
yep.
As opposed to the 20 minutes. So 15 minutes will disappear very quickly here, although there isn't any danger, I wouldn't have thought, of stumbling across another car in such a quiet session. Everybody is out there now.
Yes, they are.
So Lee Mole driving this red Mercedes in the AMD type colours. Much of the crew actually from the AMD tuning outfit, but the entry is Lee Mole. Cedric Mezar driving the number 8 SVC Sport Management Lamborghini. We have the Baker car, that's the returning machine. Saw that at Le Mans during qualifying, didn't we? But we haven't seen it in the sort of regular Le Mans Cup season. So good to have Andrew and Ben Barker as part of the championship, and Emanuele Busnelli, championship leader by 16 points, along with co-driver Fabio Babini. But this is the first car on the road, about to head into the final chicane.
And he comes through the bus stop chicane. Lee Mole will be the first driver to set a flying lap. He opts to complete that lap, as we expected he would. 9.5 minutes remaining, in a few seconds' time we'll see what Lee has managed to produce. It's a 2:31.108 is the mark, and I think that'll stand for this lap.
Typically, of course, across the weekend there have been rather, one of the moot points has been track limits in various positions, and often coming out of Les Combes, that's a problem, through Blanchimont as well. Warnings have been dished out during free practice sessions, times deleted. I expect that to be a similar situation in this qualifying as well, so they may be in a situation where times are taken away.
So the 2:31.108 stands at the moment. Busnelli goes through a 2:34.4, Mezar in a 2:36.3. That's beaten by Andrew Baker with a 2:36.3. So at the moment, Lee Mole in a pretty comfortable position, but everybody getting up to speed. We've seen these qualifying sessions develop, and that was a very, oh dear me. Now, not on that lap it won't be from Signor Busnelli, because after completing that lap, a quick spin or half spin at La Source, so the next lap will be impossible for the championship leader to improve. So Lee Mole at the moment heading towards closing that gap by a single point.
Yes, he is. You get a point for pole position, and with only now 8 minutes on the clock, obviously that's not a nice place to be affecting your lap either, because you've now got to do a full lap to get round to the start and finish line again, and then put in another lap potentially. So the pressure's on a little bit for Emanuele Busnelli. Quick to get on the brakes there, but if he allowed the car to spin any further across the road, there's a concrete wall right there beckoning you in. Plus, you don't really want to be right across the track and affecting anybody else's route out of La Source corner.
And Lee Mole going quicker again this time around. He's improved both his sector times, just completed sector 2, so he's up on the 2:31.1 that he set last time around. Let's wait and see.
So halfway through the 15 minutes now, and there's plenty of the green concrete there being taken by 52-year-old Lee Mole from the UK, bronze driver, sharing with Don Baumann this weekend, the Austrian from Hall im Tyrol in Austria. And the car just weaving its way now through the chicane to complete a lap. The times, the sectors look pretty good from Lee Mole. He's done an absolute best through Sector 1, a personal best through Sector 2, and goes even quicker than everybody else through Sector 3. So a 2:24.817 is now the time to try and match and beat for Emanuele Busnelli, but we know for a fact he's not going to do it on this lap after the spin in the first sector. Cedric Mezard now goes second fastest, so he will start up alongside Lee Mole, assuming things do not change, but there's still opportunity for Italian Busnelli to get a better time. He's in the third sector now and crosses the line. There he is in the Jericho-backed car. So that car now down towards the first corner again with the Italian colours resplendent on the sill of the car.
So the bad news is that clearly is not an improvement after that spin for Busnelli. The good news, though, for Busnelli, a much quicker middle sector time than the table-topping time from Lee Mole. So the potential is there for this Lamborghini to leapfrog the three cars ahead. And it's going to come down to this lap or the next one, I think. 6 minutes to go.
And to add insult to injury, Emanuele Busnelli's had that time taken from him as well. It was no good because he had a spin at the first corner, but he's been done for track limits at turn 1 as well, which is Le Source. He went over the track limits because he was part way through a spin. Anyway, there it is confirmed on the screen.
And Lee Mole is improving again. So it's a 2:24.817. He's, 4.5 seconds up at the moment on Cedric Mezard. This is good stuff from Lee Mole.
Actually, I'm misidentifying that. I think Busnelli's going to have this lap deleted from him. This is the 4th lap.
Oh dear.
And it's not yet completed. And likewise, car 20 is going to have lap 4 deleted as well, even before it's set because of track limits.
Both at
turn 1. So that's got to be on the exit of La Source. You can't cut that corner. There's a concrete wall on the inside of it. But as you weave out, or you work your way out of that tight right hand, you've got to be so careful not to drop all 4 wheels over the solid white line. So is Busnelli going to have enough time left? Yes, he should have. Yes, he's in the middle sector with still 5 minutes on the clock.
But I think the key thing for Emanuele Busnelli is just gathering up the psychology of these laps at this point. He's had effectively burned 2 of those available laps. 4 minutes 45 seconds to go. Here comes Lee Mole. He improves again. This time shaves just a few tenths off. It's a 2:24.464. 4.8 seconds now is the advantage over Cedric Mezard. Andrew Baker is a further couple of seconds back, and he is going to lose his lap that he's currently on as well. Then Emanuele Busnelli, who's in the 3rd sector but will lose this lap. At the moment, it's looking very good indeed for Lee Mole. Cedric Mezard, though, does shave some time away from it, but still 3.5 seconds off the time of the Mercedes. Who, if anybody, can do anything about Lee Mole? Is it going to be a last gasp effort from Emanuele Busnelli?
Here's the Andrew Baker-driven Gulf Racing UK Porsche. It's a 911 GT3R, and in similar colours to that's raced in the World Endurance Championship, the Ben Barker and Mike Wainwright race.
It's a good-looking livery on that car.
It is very nice, and we did in the early part of the year in the WEC have slightly different colour schemes representing Gulf. That looks slightly more accurate to me, the one on this Porsche, with a very pale blue and the central band, which is orange. More laps potentially going to be deleted. Lap 5 for car 8, that's the current lap that Cedric Mezard is on, is also going to be deleted, this time because of track limits being breached at turn 4, which is Radion corner. So through La Source, over the top, and you're either cutting the corner on the inside to driver's left or running too far out wide on the right. Either way, this lap for car 8 will not stand.
It's a better lap currently underway from Emanuele Busnelli, not quite yet matching Lee Mole's pace through Sector 1. Keep an eye on the long Sector 2 to see whether or not in the closing minutes, in the 3 minutes left now, he'll get this one and one more if he wants it, but that would be it. To see whether or not he can challenge at the moment he's 9.7 seconds down, but that's because he's lost 2 of these flying laps. So really one establishing lap, then the spin, then track limits for Emanuele Busnelli. It's been so far a pretty perfect run from Lee Mole, who's improved on every flying lap.
And that's kind of the aim of the game with this championship, to bring on the bronze driver within the duo.
Cedric Mezard on a quicker lap as well. Remember, just lost that. Is it the flying lap he's on now?
Lap 5 was due to be deleted for
So
Cedric
it's this
Mezard.
one.
Yeah.
It is an improved Sector 2 time from Emanuele Busnelli. Is that getting closer? It is getting closer to the point where Lee Mole needs to be worried about the pace on this one. But Mole is improving too. It's a 2:24.1 from Lee Mole. He extends his advantage 3.8 seconds. He might need that, because we're soon going to see. Here he comes, Busnelli, with under 2 minutes to go. The penultimate lap then for Emanuele Busnelli, puts him to the top. 2:24.034.1 of a second. So after disaster over the last 2 laps, he gathers himself together. That will be Fabio Babini just encouraging his co-driver along. Now what, if any, response will Lee Mole have for this? Well, the answer is he has not improved on the first part of what will be, I think, might well be his final flying lap.
Yeah, it's going to be tight. The 7-kilometre track obviously takes you a good while to negotiate. The SVC Sport Management car still going pretty strongly. The Austrian team with Frenchman Cedric Mezard at the wheel.
And it will be no improvement from Lee Mole. His current lap will be deleted. So all 4 drivers have been pinged for track limits at some point, and I think that was pretty close to Busnelli getting the same again on this lap. 50 seconds remain.
Into Bruxelles corner now, the long right-hander, which leads to the corner with no name, although many people call it Speaker's Corner. It's just about the only corner way out in the valley that can be seen from the commentary box. And then the plunge down towards Pouhon. Half a minute to go, and this is surely going to be just about it for Emanuele Busnelli. But he is in pole position as Lee Mole now goes through the Sector 2. But this lap, as we've been established, will be deleted, I think, for the Brit at the end of it.
Yeah, he's well off the pace. He's back right off, so there's going to be no improvement for Lee Mole. Second is the best he's going to be expecting at this point. Andre Baker, though, is improving on this lap. He's put in the fastest first sector of his session. Not going to challenge the 2 at the front with that effort, but could get onto terms with Cedric Mezard.
The aim of the game for SVC and Cedric Mezard, along with teammate Stevie S this weekend, is trying to get into 3rd position. They should just about manage it with no optimum racing here this weekend. And can SVC start to hunt down championship leaders EB Motors and maybe Lee Mole as well in the red Mercedes?
That was an improvement right at the end of the session from Cedric Mezard. Doesn't do anything in terms of his position on the grid. At the moment stays 3rd, 1.9 seconds away from Busnelli. But he will know that Andrew Baker is coming along and is going more quickly than he's gone so far. I think he's a little way off that pace. But a much improved time this is going to be. It's currently a 2:31.363 from Andrew Baker. Let's wait and see what he can produce on this lap. He's coming through to complete it now, in the very end of the session. And a 2:31.363 becomes a 2:28.841, 3 seconds quicker than for Andrew Baker, the least experienced of the Michelin Le Mans Cup drivers, runners here. The past experience includes GT Cup back in the UK in a Cup Class Porsche, as well as Johnny said, the 2 Road to Le Mans races in the car we're seeing this weekend. So learning his trade. That completes the session. 2:24.034 then, Johnny. Pole position for Emanuele Busnelli and extends that championship lead by a single point.
Yes, he does. So they will move on to 76.5 points now. That's a gap of 17 back to Lee Mole and not quite Don Baumann, because Baumann yet to score any points individually, but they'll all go towards Team Lee Mole at least, and it'll be a Lamborghini and a Mercedes on the front row and a Lamborghini and a Porsche on the second row within GT3. In a moment or two, we'll be moving on to the second qualifying session for the LMP3 cars. 14 of those expected out on track, but a look back at some of the highlights during that session. Sadly, only 4 cars taking part, but we had expected there to be a couple more, some late withdrawals, and we wish those people involved in the withdrawals well. Hope to see them perhaps at Portimao at the end of the year. But there is the addition of the number 20 car, rattling the curbs at Le Con corner. It was Busnelli, though, on form again, as he has been for much of qualifying through this year. That is a 4th pole position of the season. The only other pole we've had this year is actually from the Gulf Racing Porsche that managed to top the times at the Road to Le Mans Part 1 race. We had 2 separate races in the Michelin Le Mans Cup across the week of Le Mans. There was confirmation of the times, by the way. 2:24.91034 is the best time from Emanuele Busnelli. But in the slightly more regular part of the Michelin Le Mans Cup season at Monza, Red Bull Ring, Paul Ricard, it has been Emanuele Busnelli who's been unstoppable, and that is a 4th pole position lap of the year. We'll look ahead in a moment then to LMP3s, hoping to grab a word with Emanuele Busnelli or Fabio Babini before we move on. If not, that will be done after this next session, which will be another 15-minute affair. But here's an indication of how deeply embedded this track is in the Ardennes Forest. You get the feeling you're really on a journey with every single lap. The track disappearing over the rise from us here in the paddock area, over Raidillon, and then down the long Kemmel Straight, which continues to climb towards the highest part of the circuit at Le Com corner, where the point in the circuit where the old track used to go off to the left. And you think this is a long lap at 7Ks. The old track dwarfs this current formation, and much of the public road that formed the old track still just as it was. It's a fabulous place to come racing, and as I say, just a small indication of the something like 14-kilometre track that once stood here till 1978. So there is the Cool Racing car with Striver already on board. This is the Kemmel Straight, but we're looking the wrong way down it now. And there's a path, as you can see, to driver's left as it's done the right way round, right as we look at this picture, where fans can wander along there. And that's the bank that's often full of people during the Formula 1 Grand Prix, for example, and the Spa 24 hours held here every July. But the LMP3 cars on their external jacks at the moment. The dolly's about to be removed for car number 9, which is for Duquesne Engineering. They run 2 cars in the European Le Mans Series. That's the number 9 car with Joel Janko due to qualify it, sharing with Kenton Cook, who is a new name to the championship. We saw Kenton first take part at Paul Ricard, the 23-year-old, and he's back for more here in Spa.
15 minutes, 15 cars in this session, and I think we're going to be seeing some real action here. It's been a really engaging first hit for the LMP3s in this championship.
Although, I mean, standout man performing-wise in the in qualifying is Jean Gloria, the bronze-graded 32-year-old Belgian, and you know he's going to be particularly psyched up to go well here at his home circuit. So it comes from Kortrijk in Belgium, which is very close to the French border, not a million miles away from Spa. I'm sure he's done many laps around here, although he's still registered as a non-pro driver and joined by Alex Terrell, who is the 21-year-old Spaniard, another real talent at the wheel of the DKR Engineering Norma. And remember, it is one Norma versus 13 Ligier in this category, but we've seen from 5 races, 4 pole positions from that man, Jean Gloria. So will it be a 5th pole of the year? The only other man to get pole position, by the way, Alvaro Fontes for SPV Motorsport. That happened at Red Bull Ring. Quite a story it was at the time. Sharing that car with Andrew Cummings.
Unfortunately, I think SPV are not here this weekend, are they?
Just looking down the list, they are not one of those people here, no. So, of all the people that have pinged pole position or grabbed pole position through the year, it is Jean Gloria in this field and nobody else. So can someone stand up and grab the headlines in the next 15 minutes?
It's going to be interesting to see who might do that. Looking down the order here. Now, keep an eye out for William Locke, by the way, in the number 40 Graf car. And William, an addition to the field this weekend in the Graf car. It's a change there of squad. And William, with his own Win Racing team, competing in the Asia Le Mans Series this year, and is the championship winner, by the way, of the Asia Le Mans Sprint Cup. And impressively so. Don't believe he's been here before. He'll share that car, by the way, with Richard Bradley, who's doing double duty with the European Le Mans Series. But he might produce a bit of a surprise here if he's got his head around this circuit.
Yeah, William based in Hong Kong, from Hong Kong indeed, and knows Richard because Richard now lives in Bangkok, although was born in London. And Richard's done an awful lot of racing within Asia, particularly the Asian Le Mans Series at times. So I think Richard and William have been a partnership trying to bring on Locke and trying to improve his lap times for a good couple of seasons now. So
absolutely.
That's a second Graf car, isn't it, to add into the LMP3 entry, along with the 65 car.
Tony Wells as well. We can see the Nielsen Racing car. He will be a man to watch in this session. Looking for where the challenge to Jean Glorieux might come from.
Yes, I mean, Nielsen Racing are trailing DKR Engineering by 25 points, which is a race win, effectively. So championship can be won this weekend if DKR Engineering win the race and Nielsen Racing are just a bit too far behind in third or fourth position. So we'll keep you up, obviously up to speed with that once we come to the race later on today. It's a 4 p.m. start locally. Do the relevant calculations wherever you are around the world. But we're at Central European time here in Spa, so 4 p.m. till 6 p.m. is the scheduled race. Things have been a little behind time this morning on the timetable just because of the early morning mist, which was stubborn to clear. They are under race control orders now, and Eduardo Freitas.
2 seconds to go green. You may head to pit exit if you so wish. You may wait at pit exit. There is nothing impeding you from doing that.
There is the voice of our race director.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pit exit should be green. Pit exit should be green.
It is green.
LMP3 qualifying session has started.
So cars now easing their way onto the track. You don't even need to use the accelerator because the pit lane, the end of the pit lane, is so much facing downhill. Just release the brake and the car will start to roll, but you'll need plenty of gas to then get up the other side. At Eau Rouge corner, the right-hander, Radion at the top of the hill. And it is a fabulous place to clearly drive through there, but also if you've never watched motorsport at Eau Rouge corner, one of those ones you'll need to add to the bucket list.
Fabulous stuff. Rouge and Radion at the top. Started the weekend with some interviews with one or two of the European Le Mans Series drivers at the top. That's the first time I've actually been on track there on foot. It's a lot steeper than it looks.
Yes. Yes, tales of Paddock Hill Bend at Brands Hatch, only sleeper really, and obviously they're going the other way, uphill, over the rise, and we've seen some big uns through the years at Radion corner, so reliant are the drivers on the marshals flagging correctly and warning them of any incident at the top of the hill. They then are released into the forest proper down Kemmel Straight. That's your opportunity potentially for an overtake if you can get in the slipstream of another car, use the toe, and then outbrake at the end of the straight into Le Combe corner, that sequence of right, left and right corners, and then the plunge downhill begins from that point down into Bruxelles and Speaker's corner, the left. This is further round though, Piff Paff, and heading down now towards Campus Corner, so-called because of the school on the inside of the bend, curve Paul Frere. Stavelot, we've got an early spin actually.
It's William Locke.
Yes, it is. We told you to look out for William Locke, not necessarily in this way though.
No.
And now it's very tricky here to, first of all, locate the right gear, and you don't necessarily want to be reversing because there are people coming round blind.
He's been through the gravel.
Yeah.
He's been through the gravel there.
Yes.
So William Locke, I'm afraid, is going to need some full lock there. Reverses back.
So yes, the outside gravel it looks like Williams visited and brought some of the stones back out onto track. There are yellow flags covering turn 7. It's going to have to be at least a 3-point turn, maybe more. And I think he may be under instruction here from the marshals too, just to make sure that it is safe for him to reverse back onto the racing line. He can't see around the corner, that's the problem. And the car may well spit out several more stones as it leaves the scene. In the background, that's the Duquesne Engineering car appearing, car number 9.
So now the task for William Locke is getting his head back into this session. If there is still gravel emerging from the various orifices of that Ligier, to make sure that it's not on the racing line. Yellow flags have now been withdrawn. So and that is Jean Clauret. He's going to hit the barrier. He is going to hit the barrier.
And there's an indication of the wet weather we've had overnight, because there's plenty of water in the tyres there. And, well, it's gone in and actually bounced out. And I can't see a great deal of damage there, Graham. So he's really got away with one there. Cold tyres and the car so quickly to rotate.
Just a hint that the right-hand legality panel. What happened here?
It's just cold tyres, I think. I mean, he's not really pushing it too much. The car's just come out of the pits, up the hill, down the Kemmel Straight, and what tyres like in order to gain heat is turning.
Well, just a hint that the right rear corner of that car might have been a little bit damaged. We'll keep an eye on that.
Well, Jean will be just seeing whether there's an issue with the car for the rest of this lap. But let's catch up on what happened in GT3. Emanuele Busnelli with another pole position. Let's hear from Charlie George.
Yeah, and Dan here at EB Motors with Emanuele. Another pole position for you. Are you happy with that?
Oh, well, I'm happy to make the pole position. In any case, my lap was not as good as I want to do it. I was expecting to do better than that, because we have made some improvement to the car since yesterday. And the car was really good, but unfortunately I didn't make the perfect lap. So I'm happy, of course, but I mean, I was expecting, I'm racing against each others, and themselves. So it's fine, it's fine. The guys make a great job. The car was absolutely perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Little bit frustration there because of the early spin, I think, and then he had a time deleted too, so had to leave it till the last few moments. But I make it now that if EB Motors win the race later on today, Limol has to finish second to keep the championship alive, because they've gone on to 76.5, and if they win today, that'll give them 101.5 points. And if Limol finishes third, they won't be able to catch the EB Motors car at Portimao. But we'll keep you obviously abreast of that situation come the race. We have the Michelin Le Mans Cup LMP3 cars to keep you up to speed with as well. And the quick times are starting to come through. Tony Wells to the top in the very early stages, Graham.
Indeed, 2:28.875 for the number 79 Nielsen car. Tony Wells has put that time in. It's Alexander Coigny is second place, the 2:30.715 in the number 4 Ligier. And Andrea Chilla, it's Andrea Chilla, isn't it, in the number 65. That's the second of the Graf cars as the Norma pits. I think that car may have a bit of an issue at the rear.
Well, it's a prime opportunity to get the car in, check it out, make sure that you can continue to push. They're just checking the front wheels, interestingly. Now, are they actually inspecting the problem that caused the spin?
Did he feel as if the car just broke away in a kind of rather... all the wheels seated properly?
Yes.
Just checking, I think, here, rather than... Let's keep an eye on this, though. This is the championship-leading car. Could secure the championship this weekend.
Yeah, and just making sure the rear wheels rotate okay. Looks like the car's still in gear, so they're really struggling to turn those rear wheels in the wrong direction. But the focus is actually right rear, so it's a good spot from Graham Goodwin there to say that there's potential damage where the car's gone backwards into the tyre barrier.
Exactly where that mechanic... Yes, it is. There was something loose there. So it just could be it's popped through some kind of catch. We've got a new fastest car in the session. That's the N-Race car, I think, isn't it? The number 99.
It is. Alain Costa at the wheel and sharing with Jordan Peroy again now. We had Gaetan Palatou at Paul Ricard. been actually 3 different co-drivers for Alain Costa through the year, but Jordan Perroy, who did the opening round at Monza, is back now, the 25-year-old Frenchman joining Alain. So end race to the top. That's Nielsen in 2nd position, Alexandre Coigny in 3rd for Cool Racing.
But I think about to go back to the top of timing and scoring is going to be Tony Wells. He's improved on all 3 of the sectors. He's dropped down to 4th. This doesn't improve. He does go back. It's 2:19.846. That's much faster than anybody else. 2.5 seconds to the good. A great lap there from Tony Wells as Laurent Millara had taken the provisional pole position, and now we see Jean Glorieux re-emerge from the pits. He'll have this lap and then have the opportunity to set the first flying lap for the Norma, the number 3 car that has been pretty dominant through this season, Johnny.
Yes, assuming he gets through Le Com, of course, and this is going to be eyes closed heading through the right-hander, making sure the car sticks. This is the replay, so I don't think this is live action.
Did look odd, that. It did look pretty odd.
Yeah.
He got away with that, it has to be said. That could have been so much worse.
And he has got through this time. I was holding my breath there for a moment. He's gone a bit wide at Bruxelles corner, though. Still, I think, just trying to work the car out. And if he's having to drive around a problem, then every credit to him to even just post a quick time. Nielsen Racing, by the way, who are in provisional pole at the moment from Tony Wells' time, have taken a race win. They were winners at Monza, the first race of the year, but haven't yet got a pole position. So this could be a first, with DKR Engineering on the back foot.
And a first year in LMP3 for Nielsen Racing, and already with a title under their belts with the UK, the Henderson Insurance UK LMP3 Cup. This same car winning that title in the Courier Cos colours. Colin Noble, there's Alex de McCaig, and we'll see Colin in the race later. Car 40, meanwhile, William Locke is not having a great session. He'll have his current lap deleted for track limits. Tony Wells, by the way, is going faster on this lap. So already it's been closed down a little. He's still got a 2.5 advantage over Antonio Costa, the number 99 car, who has improved, but he's going much quicker than his nearest challengers here, and is about to put more of an edge on this current provisional pole position gap. Although he's got some traffic coming into the bus stop, that might have a part to play. Let's wait and see. No hold up there, and he's going to clear that, so he's going to complete this lap without the traffic becoming an issue. 2:19.846 becomes 2:18.0.
Brilliant.
3.3 seconds clear. A couple of excellent laps there from Tony Wells. We said we thought he might be a factor in this qualifying session, and he's been more than that, dominant so far. What can Jean Glorieux do about this? Well, what he's done so far, as he sets up the flying lap he's currently on, is he's done the fastest 3rd sector of the session in setting up the run down the start-finish straight to start his flying lap. We'll keep an eye on that. And he set the fastest 1st sector of the session too, and by a distance, half a second up on the fastest that Tony Wells could do.
Adrian Schiller with a good time there, takes him from 4th position in class up to 2nd, so doing a 2:21.155, so he's brought the gap down to 3.1 seconds. But just to put that Tony Wells time into perspective, he was 1.8 seconds quicker than his previous best. He found nearly 2 seconds on his early efforts. But Jean Glorieux clearly in a false position here, 14th out of 14 cars, so expecting there to be changes as Alain Costa goes back through in the number 99 N-Race car to re-establish that machine. 2nd position and potentially a front row start.
Yeah, but it's just 3 seconds slower than Tony Wells' time. However, we're looking for the sector 2 time from this man. He's half a second up on Tony Wells' pole position pace, or provisional pole position pace through sector 1. The time we're looking for in sector 2, and it's gone again. It's another half a second up. He's a full second up on Tony Wells' pace.
Great going, this. Also worthy of a mention are Motorsport 98. They are a Belgian outfit, and Eric de Donker, who is Belgian, doing the qualifying, sharing with Welshman Andy Merrick again this season. And they're enjoying their year so far, but particularly, I'm sure, well backed are Motorsport 98. Here comes Jean Gloria then towards the end of the lap with 3 minutes on the clock.
He's looking for something to beat a 2:18.0, and he's done it with a 2:16.451. Absolutely smashes Tony Wells's lap, which looked great in the context of the rest of the field. Puts 1.5 seconds on Tony Wells. And is there going to be a response from the Nielsen racing car? I don't think there is, you know.
Laurent Millara now into third fastest for M Racing YMR. Laurent sharing with Nathan Biel, and that car's time a 2:19.896, which is still about 3.4 seconds slower than Jean Gloria's time, 2.5 or 2 seconds slower than Tony Wells. Alain Costa slipping to fourth fastest. Adrian Schiller is fifth quickest, and then it is the 33 car which has at the wheel Matthijs Bakker. So it's not Javier Ibram as expected, but Bakker piloting that. They're both bronze drivers, so either of them can take part in qualifying.
So into the final couple of minutes of this session before we see the checkered flag. And who, if anybody, can improve, will, astonishingly, the car that's already a second and a half up on the rest of the field is improving again. And at the moment, what was half a second quicker than Tony Wells' best effort in the first sector has become a full second quicker. So a further half a second up on what had been provisional pole pace before Jean Gloria finally managed to get a lap on the boards. There's the faces in the DKR engineering pit. Only once again you can hear the Luxembourg national anthem this evening.
Looking likely at the moment, isn't it? And that will put them in a prime position as far as the championship is concerned. If they did win this race, and for example Nielsen, who are the next best in the championship, finished second, they would be out of reach then as far as the championship was concerned. So if DKR Engineering win tonight's race and Nielsen finished second or worse, then that's championship sealed.
This is going to be another significant improvement from Jean Gloria. It's a 2:16.4, playing a 2:18.0 at the moment, but 2:16.4 is going to be old news in just a few moments' time, because the new fastest time in this session, again to Jean Gloria, is a full second quicker, 2:15.575. 2.5 seconds on the field, Johnny.
Yeah, and all about the race now, really, for third on the grid. It's fabulous stuff between Alain Costa, Laurent Millara, Adrian Schiller, Matthijs Bakker, don't discount him either. For 33, the Ibram Pardo Javier entered squad. They're Spanish, but they have the Spaniard Javier Ibram doing some of the driving together with Dutchman Matthijs Bakker. But DKR Engineering already celebrating. There was a quick glimpse, in fact, of the 33 car.
It's an improvement, by the way, from Tony Wells. He closes the gap to under 2 seconds, but therefore stretches ahead of the chasing pack. 2:17.4 from Tony. We've got the checker flag out.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to beat that time.
Spin at the bus stop chicane for car number 4. That's Alexandre Coigny in the Cool Racing by YMR car, not YMR car, the Cool Racing machine, with its back as GPC, I should say. And cars that are still on a quick lap can finish that, although the marshals are out on track just the other side of La Source to make sure they don't do an extra lap. Remember, we are still a bit behind time on the timetable this weekend, so cars being directed to the lower paddock straight away. But we don't yet have Tony Wells back again.
He's improving on this lap. It's not going to be quick enough to take pole position, but I think he's defending that front row position at the moment. Quicker than he'd gone before in Sector 1. We'll watch for the end of that lap. Also going quickly, Schiller and Millara on this lap. They're currently sitting 4th and 5th. So it's a battle for that second row spot, I think, between those two cars. The 65 and Laurent Millara we're looking at here in the number 53 car.
Yes, but Alain Costa's already through, isn't he? And he's seen the checkered flag, so it's going to be no better than third position for Costa.
And it's really tight between the three of them. Costa, Schiller, Millara, separated by, what is that, under 0.3 of a second.
Every chance that Schiller or Millara or both could snatch third place on the grid in the dying stages of this event. We have a bit more time to go, although the clock reads 0. Cars still on a quick lap, including William Locke, who is managing to find improvement as well in the middle sector. Car 14th. But the 4th, the 5th, the 6th fastest cars, together with Tony Wells, not yet back for a final time.
I'm afraid William Rock is going to fall victim to track limits on that lap as well, so that's been, I'm afraid, a tale of his. Mallara does not improve. What can Adrian Schiller do? I think he's the last of the significant runners here. There's a chance of actually closing that gap. 3rd place within his grasp.
Yep, cars still coming over the line, but let's get some reaction as far as another pole position is concerned for DKR Engineering. Gloria doing the time. Here's his teammate, Alex Tyrrell.
Well, Alex, that was a bit of a nail-biting session, but he got the job done. Another pole position and another step closer to clinching that championship.
Yeah, exactly. We are just now 26 points ahead, so one more point in our pocket, and really looking forward for the race this afternoon. John at the beginning was making us a little bit more nervous than usual, but really happy again with the result. Unbelievable, really good gap. Car is working amazing, so like I said, really looking forward to step in the car later this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And if they manage to win this evening's race, that will be championship sewn up, as far as I can tell from my rather basic mathematics. But if they win, Nielsen can only reach 80 points today, and that would be 113 playing 80 points. It's only 25 or 26 on offer at Portimao. So DKR Engineering in the box seat with their Norma M30, powered by exactly the same engine as the Ligiers, but the Norma just looks that slightly better chassis at most of the tracks we go to.
Yep, sunshine still here. That is the overall classification at the end of that session. There were no improvements in that leading pack. DKR Engineering and their Norma finished the session well on top from the Nielsen Racing 79 Ligier. N-Race's 99 and the 65 Graf car will form the second line of the grid before you get to the M-Racing Weimar 53 Ligier and the number 33 Ibrahim Pardo Javier car. And then United Autosports and Motorsport 98 make up the next grid line. Sean Lynn brings home the second United Autosports car ahead of the number 4 car of Alexander Coigny from the Cool Racing car team. 55 is the Spirit of Race car, ahead of the number 9 from Decane Engineering, and the final row of the grid in LMP3 will be the 14 RLRM Sport car and the number 40 from Graf Racing.
And remember, we've got 4 GT3 cars to weave into that grid as well. We don't start them as separate classifications. There's sometimes a GT3 car as high up as the 3rd row overall. So it's going to be a real mix-up of cars. Things to look forward to as far as the latest round of the Michelin Le Mans Cup is concerned. So it'll be round 6 of the year with 2 more to go and a further 25 points on offer this weekend. Thanks for joining us from Graham and from myself. It's goodbye for now.